Hey, love. Welcome to the Pregnancy, Loss, and Motherhood podcast, the place I created for moms like us. Pregnancy loss is all-encompassing and creates an overarching theme that runs through our lives forever. We have to learn to live with and beside the grief of losing our babies. We have to learn how to live again, how to parent again, how to engage and interact and be social again, and it can be freaking hard. We have to relearn how to communicate effectively and compassionately so that we're connecting with our spouses and significant others. We have to find out who we are now. And I'm here to empower you and to inspire you to live a beautiful life, even with our uniqueness. We can't change what happened, but we can use the strength and resilience that we've built to create a life that we love. And I am here to share everything I know about grief and motherhood, loss, relationships, and parenting. I'm here to encourage you to find that beautiful side of grief, the side where we don't feel the need to isolate or suppress the need to share stories and experiences out of fear, the side of grief where there's moms just like you sitting here and encouraging you and cheering you on. The side where we really want to be the best versions of ourselves, and not in spite of our loss, but because of it. Pregnancy loss is fleeting, but it gives us an invaluable opportunity to reflect on who we are, who we were, and who we want to be and become. So I'm so excited you're here today, and let's dive in.
Hey mamas, welcome to another episode of the Pregnancy, Loss, and Motherhood podcast. I'm so happy you're here today. Today's going to be a little different. I'm feeling all sorts of things and I feel like I just need an outlet. Since podcasting is my outlet, there is just so much right now, okay? And remember, my brain thinks very differently. So the way I make connections, you may be like, how did she get this from that? And I may be all over the place, but just go with me. I'm having some big fucking emotions. A lot of ones that are making me realize, or at least make me feel like I haven't done any healing at all, which is so fucking infuriating because I have done so much work to get to where I am today and to be who I am. And there's something that keeps coming up for me, and that's attitude. I honestly feel like honing in on your attitude. I mean, it's the collective, right, of your beliefs, your thoughts, your perspective, your life experience. It's a culmination of all these things. And your attitude, though, is what determines the quality of your life. And I know this. And for some reason, I can't seem to get out of my own way. It's so funny. That's something that Carrie Green says. She's a female. She created the Female Entrepreneur Association, and she always says that you got to get out of your own way. And I know I'm in my own way, and I can't seem to. We're always going to have bad days, right? And some days like today was a heavy day. Today, I felt like I had a lot of emotions that needed releasing. And sometimes that just looks like relaxing and resting, which in our culture can look like laziness, right? So it's really hard to do. For me, when I was a kid, my productivity was my worth. If I wasn't doing what my mom wanted me to do, or as much as she wanted me to do, like her love was conditional and it was based on what I could do for her, my output, my productivity. So when I have days like this and I really need to just lay down, I mean, despite the fact that I have 4 kids, so it's nearly impossible, but I can lay on the couch where my kids are playing in the den and my husband's sitting next to me. And we did for a while. We watched Wish on Disney+. But it is so hard for me to sit in these uncomfortable feelings. I hate it. And most of us do. Why it's so hard to understand what healing truly means. A big part of healing is sitting with our discomfort and realizing that it's not a burden. Okay? It's there for a reason. It's telling you something. Whether it's to slow down, whether it's telling you, something you already know deep within yourself, like knowing that you needed to quit this job like 5 years ago, or knowing that you're done having kids, or that you want to have more kids and, you know, you need to do it now, or you have so much power within yourself as a woman. We have been conditioned out of it because that's scary. The amount of power that we have is scary, and we've forgotten it. Generations past have forgotten it. And I am relearning now that it's okay to be soft and vulnerable and to receive. And when I say receive, I don't mean like just sexually, but that is part of it, right? I mean, I was just listening to a podcast where Kathy Heller was talking about receiving, you know, giving and receiving. Men are typically the givers and we're the receivers. And physically, you can tell that's true by our physiology, right? But I was a people pleaser as a kid because I tried to make sure that my mother was at a place where she wouldn't blow up on us and scream at us and make us go do these terrible chores. And it's really hard coming out of that. And it's not bad being a people pleaser. As women, naturally, we're caretakers. That doesn't mean we have to be people pleasers and throw out our boundaries and, you know, our values and our morals. So back to attitude. Some days I have a really fucking shitty attitude. And I'm treating everybody terribly, especially my husband. My husband gets the brunt of it, right? That's the ones closest to us. That's normal. That's what it is. And if I say something mean, or like, mostly it's just my tone. Like, I don't go around saying mean things. I just say it in a not nice way, like that tone. Like, and something I'm very aware of, and I have been working intentionally for years on learning how to tone it down. And it's so ingrained in me. And every time, like, I say something in that tone, like flying out of my mouth, I'm like, something my mom would have said. Yikes. And it's, so I'm struggling with my attitude lately. And I never want you guys to think that I have my shit together, because there's days I do and days I don't. And the days I don't, I am learning to let my expectations go and to focus on flexibility, which is funny because that's, you know, that's a big teacher thing. Teaching kids in preschool and kindergarten how to be flexible. And I can't fucking even do it at 35. I remember Allie's preschool teacher, Miss Cindy. She was godsend. And she worked very, very hard and long working with Callie on flexibility, especially as a military child and all the change that we were always going through. And I remember her working on it with her at home. And now I think back to that, I'm like, damn. Like, at the time, my 5-year-old was more flexible than me. And I think a lot of it has to do with all the things that we've experienced in our life, especially the trauma or loss, death, abuse, anything that we have suffered through that wasn't our fault. It really makes us grasp on to anything that we can control, which I feel like for moms and women in general comes in terms of like micromanaging. I know my husband is fully capable of so many things. He's such a brilliant man. I just love him. I love him so much. But like yesterday, I hated him. Not really, but just my brain. Okay, I don't know if you guys do this, but when we're having a hard time, like lately it's been really hard with the boys got their vaccines last week. Bodie got a fever 2 days later, and it was such a bad fever. Tylenol, ibuprofen wouldn't break it, and he was miserable. And he was like writhing in pain though. So, and it was also his tooth. He had one of his front teeth, his last one coming in. It was like right at that point where the skin wasn't broken yet, but you could tell how painful it was. If you just touched it, he would scream. But this went on for like 4 days, and he wasn't sleeping. So I wasn't sleeping again. Obviously, I'm not big on sleep training. After Evelyn died, I can't willingly let my children cry because of that. I'm like, I can't let my kids suffer. And I know they're not suffering. Oh my God, don't even think that that's how I actually think. But it's funny how our feelings and our thoughts, the things that come up, we don't actually choose. Bob Proctor always says that. You don't get to choose your first thought, but you do get to choose your second and your third and your fourth. And that's where I'm working on when these thoughts come in that aren't true, like back to my husband. Like, I'm like, oh, we might as well get divorced. What would that look like? And then I'm going through my head like, that doesn't sound great either. And I'm like, God, I hate that he's, I have to tell him what to do. I have to tell him to, go do stuff with the kids. Like, it's not really how I feel when I'm in a good space and a good attitude. But something that I do specifically, I'm not sure if it's, from childhood trauma or losing a daughter or whatever. When something bad happens, instead of doing, now I do sometimes do what I teach other people, which is to pause. You gotta take a second and just be like, okay, is this true? Like, is what's coming up for me, like I'm about to explode? Is it, equal to what's going on right now? Or is it overreacting? But when I can't rationally do that because my survival brain turns on, I start getting mad about every single thing in my life that's bad. And I compound it and I layer it on and I make it seem so bad. And my vibrational energy is in the goddamn garbage. And I'm just like, this is not who I am. This isn't who I am. I don't want to be this person. Why is she still showing up? And what happens when you start to change yourself is that the ego part of you is really trying to hold on to those old habits because it's what's easy and it's safe, even if it's not good. It's a defense mechanism built from a very scary world before now. I mean, obviously shit's still bad, but it's different. But learning how to pause when you're in a really bad attitude is one of the most helpful tools I can give you. And I'm not perfect at it. I just went through 3 days, like it feels like 3 days of feeling like shit and being in such a bad attitude. Like, ugh, I'm the victim. Instead of being in, because just because things go wrong, just because things seem bad for us, it doesn't mean our life is bad. It doesn't mean, it's the end of the world. But sometimes it can feel that way. And I get so mad because we have worked so hard to get to where we are. And I just feel like we never get a break from life, which is funny. I don't want to break from life. I love life. I don't want to die yet. But some days it gets so hard to hold all of the things that have gone wrong. And what I realize is that I'm holding on to it instead of just feeling it and letting it go. I told you guys, my brain's all over. I'm in this attitude. And what I typically do when I get into a place like this, not only do I walk every day, but I listen to my podcasts and I try to find something that like hits the nail on the head of what I'm going through. And today that was Kathy Heller. And I've heard her talk before. She's like a magnetic abundance coach, and she's on she guests on a lot of the podcasts that I listen to. Excuse me. Just the stuff that she was saying resonates so hard. And knowing that a lot of the stuff that we go through, guys, isn't ours. It's literally from generations past and the things that were ingrained in us by our moms, them by their grandma, their moms and their moms and their moms. And it makes me so sad to realize that my mom and my grandma and her mom they wanted more, but settled because they didn't think they were worthy enough of it. And the attitude that has been fighting me as I am growing and changing and evolving into this new version of myself, my most authentic self, is like clawing at me, trying to hold on because it knows that I'm ready to release it. I'm ready to let her go because this part of me wasn't ever mine to carry. We're all born perfectly worthy, inherently worthy. And we get suppressed by everything around us. And some of it can be intentional, being told like, don't be too much. Don't put yourself out there. Like, don't draw attention to yourself. Just messages that we receive. Even if we just hear, adults in our life talking, that stuff becomes a part of you if you internalize it and, put an emotion with it. Guys, it's so fucking hard to be a human being. It's so funny. It's so hard. It's so funny. It's so complicated, so not complicated. But yeah, attitude is a big thing coming up for me lately. And I feel like that's going to be like my word for the rest of the year, because our attitude truly dictates the quality of our life. If we are constantly in a bad attitude and every little thing throws us off, every little thing sets us off, what kind of life do you think we're going to have? We're going to have a really volatile life. We're going to have a really unsettling life. Our children are going to grow up, people pleasing so that nobody blows up. I don't want that. It's the last thing that I want. And I just want you guys to know that it's normal to go through these stages as you're growing. Really, this just relates to, it relates to everybody, but motherhood especially. I have never been so triggered, so overwhelmed, so frustrated, so out of control, so chaotic in my entire life than I have since becoming a mom. And I think that's what triggers me, because I felt those ways as a kid. And at least when I was, early adult and I was on my own, making my own choices, I had some control of that. So having my own children, and what a wild ride. That if you guys experience this, I want to know. Leave me a comment on whatever platform you're listening. Let me know how your attitude has been. Has it been have you had has this week been hard for everybody, or is it, just me, which, it never is. But this week I am working on pausing. If you notice that you're in a really bad attitude, one, take a break, go outside by yourself, sit in the sunshine, drink some water, go on a walk, do things. You got to move that negative energy, those negative vibrations out of your body. And the best way to do that is by moving your body, grounding your body, go walking around in the backyard in dirt, in the grass, getting that stagnant, dirty ass energy out of your body. It needs to move. It needs to flow. When you're in movement, everything is moving. And so are the thoughts and feelings that are coming. You can be, pause all you want during that walk and just wow, wait, I overreacted. I always do this. I'm like, oh my God, I overreacted. And I always have to start over, right? With my husband. We just went on a walk. I allowed everybody to go. We were all kind of, it's been kind of a blah day. And my husband, out of nowhere, was telling me about this type of dog that he wants. And I'm like, they're not good dogs. I just write off what he says. Shut him down. And he went off and walked ahead because there was no reason to act like that at all. I could have had a conversation. I was like, babe, can we try that again? He'll kind of look at me and so what do you like about this dog? It can be as easy as that. If you're having communication problems with your spouse or your kids or your significant other, it can be as simple as that. I'm sorry for acting that way. Can we have a do-over? Me and my husband do over every day, all day long. All day long. But you have to be the bigger person. Well, you both have to, but because the other person has to be receptive, right? And not combative. But we've been married, oh my God, our anniversary is in 11 days. So we'll be married for 11 years, together for 12. And we start over all day. And that is the first part of changing, is awareness. Being aware of how you're treating people, the things you're saying, how you're acting, your general attitude, how you take things. People tend to love me. They love my personality. I have very high morals, very high values. I really value the people in my life and trust them implicitly. I like to believe that most people are good and kind and respectful. Of course, it's not always true, and I get let down and things like that, but that's just my general me. That's one of the sides of me. We're all multifaceted. We're not just one thing. Some days I'm rigid and I'm just an a-hole, and I can't seem to get out of my own way, and I have an attitude about everything. And my husband's like, whoa, I don't know what just happened or what I just walked in on, but I'm going to go. Or I'll talk with the kids, or I'll do this, or I'll do that. And we'll help each other through that. But just because I'm a rigid asshole, for 20 minutes of the day, that doesn't make it who I am. I know who I am. I know that I'm human and I have these other sides to me. Some people refer to them as their shadow selves. The parts of us are dark parts, but we can't have the light without the dark because we wouldn't know what light was. And so for me, I know is my light. It's, my gift that I use to support others is my empathy. That is the gift I've been given. And so just because I'm in a bad mood sometimes, or I say something, like, I am a human, and that's all of us, guys. I don't want you to take a bad time that you had where you had bad days and weeks and months and think that, God, that's who I am. So I'm just a shitty person. I'm going to stay this person. I'm never going to be able to change. I'm never going to be able to do that. Start layering on and compounding all that, terrible things about all the, terrible things that you do, all the things you don't do. You're a shitty mom, you're shitty this, shitty that. Don't do it. When you notice yourself going down those thoughts, or you have the one initial thought and then it starts kind of like a domino too. It's like it's a trigger, right? Pause. And then you have the say whether that's accurate or not. Is that fact? No, that's not actually. Why, and then you go from there and be like, okay, that's not true. So this thought is not accurate. No, brain, that's no. And then shift it to something else. We have the choice and the power to change our attitude at any point of the day, just by making a choice. I always got confused, because I was one of those people where everybody affected my mood. Everybody's moods affected my mood. And people would tell me, no, you get to control that. That's on you. And I'm like, what? No, I don't know what you're talking about. That's stupid. That sounds insane, but it's true. And I'm not responsible for what somebody says or does, but I am responsible for the way that I react, the way that I respond. And so I just want you to know, if you're in that really shitty place, it's okay to be there for a minute, but come back to yourself, because that's not who you are. I just want you to remember that. I love you guys so much, and it makes me so happy to know that I'm helping at least one person by, having these conversations. I know this wasn't very much about loss and things, but I have other women follow me who, don't necessarily have a loss, but love the motherhood stuff. And we'll probably talk a lot more about this stuff. This stuff I'm so passionate about. And I'm not perfect. I'm still learning, but I'm getting there. And I want to be able to take everybody with me who wants to feel better, who wants to have a better attitude, but don't know how. They don't know how to take responsibility for it. They were never taught or shown that. Guys, I wasn't taught how to do anything. I've been emotionally stunted my whole life, and I still kind of am. I'm still learning, right? And the first thing I will recommend is getting the book, Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents by Gibson. It's a start. Also, I want you to read the book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. I'm not even joking. There are so many things out there, and the only way, you guys got to remember, this is a journey. You're not stuck. You're not stuck unless you let yourself sit in that goddamn mud. Every single day is another chance to pull your ass up and get on it. And some days are harder than others, and some days you're just going to sit in that goddamn ditch and not do anything. And be like, I'm going to be mad today. I'm pissed. We're humans, guys. Be flexible. You got to be flexible. You have to be. Otherwise, we break. If we weren't flexible, we would break. No, thank you. This is just a reminder for this week to breathe, to pause, to reflect, to love yourself so goddamn much because you are so worthy. We live in a beautiful world, even with hard things going on, wars and children and mothers dying and families being torn apart. I know, guys. I'm not, I see it, but my focus is on us and you, if you're listening. And if you are a part of that world, I am so sorry. I am so sorry that we can't do more right now. Or I don't even know, guys. These things aren't my strong suits. I don't know what to say, but I love you all so much. Make sure to leave me a comment. Let me know how your attitude has been this week, but also share this podcast, guys. Share it with your best friend. Do that one thing for me, because then we're like doubling the listeners, and I'm on a mission to get this podcast out there. So I love you guys so much. I hope you have a beautiful week. Make sure you're choosing the attitude of the best version of yourself.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Pregnancy, Loss, and Motherhood podcast. If you enjoy this podcast, I really want to ask you to please rate and review and leave a comment. Whatever platform you're listening to, especially on Apple, it helps other moms like us find me, and it puts my podcast towards the top when people search. And although my podcast is already being received internationally, I really want to get as far reach as possible and help as many moms as we can. And also, if you are a mom looking for resources, you can head to my website at www.pregnancyLossEducation.com, and there's a tab just for you. I've created products like a coloring book and journal, and there's tons of free resources for you. And I'm currently working on a very exciting membership program just for moms like us. We will come together, and using the love that we have for our babies, our passion, and the need to find a purpose, and use those things to build a life that we are so proud to call ours. It's going to be amazing, and I can't wait to share it with you. Make sure when you are on the website to sign up for the newsletter. You can find that at the bottom of the page. That way you're the first to know when it goes live. I'm going to be doing a founder's launch, and it's going to be amazing. You can also find the coloring book and journal on Amazon by just typing in pregnancy loss journal or pregnancy loss affirmation coloring book. And if you're a doula or perinatal professional and would like to join one of our trainings, you can also head to the website at www.pregnancyLossEducation.com and click on the doula tab, and which will, of course, you can buy the online course and do it on your own time, or you can join one of our monthly held trainings. You can also find all of my offerings for bereavement care. I have a lot of PDF collections and one-on-one consulting and support. And I also help build up bereavement businesses. And you can find all of these on the website as well. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so happy that I'm able to support you. I'll see you next week.